Spirit fingers.
Really want to see those fingers.
It's really satisfying.
Hiya.
Beautiful. Okay. You're watching this video because you want to watch the Navier Gene podcast, which is called Gene Therapy. So welcome back. And this is a podcast where members of the band Navier Gene, and that is Eddi.
Hello.
Adam.
Hello.
And Coog.
Hello.
We all talk about things. And me. I'm Jenny. Hello. We talk about the band, music, what else we're up to, and pretty much anything else we feel like talking about to do with music and such. So hi. Welcome back. So this week's flown by, I think. It feels like literally yesterday we were recording part 1 of this Q&A, and now we're in a week later.
I mean, really, what is time, really?
Merely a concept.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to that. I don't know why I said that.
When we want to talk about anything, we will talk about the vastness of time.
There are no days now, though. There is only the inevitability of nothingness.
There is only Zool.
I don't know. I'm heading straight back into my structure now, so I'm quite excited-ish.
The precipice of structure.
You were back at work, though, weren't you?
I had my structure day, my welcome back into structure day, which was met with probably the heaviest PA I've ever lifted my entire life without exercising for the last 3 months. I was sweating.
Good job you were absolutely stacked, innit?
I really wasn't today.
He's jacked. The custom basses he gets done, they're like fucking a ton per instrument.
They're made of lead.
And the main reason he gets them is because it's the only company that will make him a ton's worth of guitar so that he can keep jacked the entire time.
Yeah. Make them heavier. Come on. Heavier.
Heavy the bass, the lower the notes.
Eddi, don't you have a guitar that's entirely resin?
Yeah, it's one of the like Perspex type guitars, but yeah, that's really heavy. But those are infamously heavy.
That looks cool though.
It's fucking mint, that guitar.
Yeah.
Plays mint as well.
Yeah, really excited.
It's a Strat neck on a telly body. No, it's a telly neck on a Strat body, and it's called Stratalia Imbruglia. It's good.
So last week we answered questions about the band and about ourselves in a fan question takeover, and I'd like to congratulate you all on doing a fine job asking some really interesting questions, and I hope you all enjoyed it. It's not actually out yet. It's slightly delayed release, so we actually don't know what people think of it, but we hope you enjoy it, because if you don't, then here's another version of that type of podcast. Anyway.
Here's the same format. Let's go.
Whoop, whoop. We asked for questions about the band and ourselves and things like that, things that you might want to know. But we also, at the same time, asked you guys if you needed any advice about making music or about being in a band and etc. But because we were inundated with questions about ourselves, we decided to split it into 2. So this podcast is the Agony Aunt episode. Whoop, whoop. Yes.
Boo.
Basically, all the questions that are going to be asked today are based on advice about music or bands or anything like that, related to what you think these guys might know about. And there's some really good questions, I think. Again, a fair amount to get through. And again, I'm really sorry if we don't get around to your question. Otherwise, we'll be here for hours, essentially. So we've had to slim it down a little bit. But we've chosen our favourites. Well, I've chosen my favourites anyway. And I'm going to put these guys on the spot. If you missed out on asking questions last time, we are going to be running Instagram polls and also the polls on YouTube to find out if you guys have any more things you want to ask in the near future. Or you can use our very professional podcasting email address, which is genetherapypod@gmail.com, or you can DM us at Navier Gene on Instagram. But yeah, so if you missed out on that, feel free to submit questions for future podcasts.
Or if you want to just scream into the void, I'm sure it'll echo to us at some point.
It will.
As we look deep into it.
Absolutely.
Did you say Facebook?
No, we ignore Facebook a little bit, actually.
It's because Facebook's pants.
Facebook is pants.
Facebook is pants.
we everyone is amazing on Instagram, and we constantly get people talking to us and sending us stuff. It's amazing. Facebook, it is literally screaming into the void. So we stopped.
Well, the void is Facebook, I think.
So if you do want to scream into the void, direct messages on facebook.com.
God, I remember when Facebook was mint. I like mint as well. Like you could post anything and people would be like, this is the fucking best thing ever.
Yeah.
And then no one ever sees your shit now.
No. It's rubbish. There you go. There's your first tip as a band. Just ignore Facebook. I thought this was a really nice topic to cover because it was my intention in the future to actually do an episode with advice and stuff. And I feel like the best way to do that is for you guys to ask these questions directly, which is what we've done. Because I think that the music industry can be quite an overwhelming place, and it can feel a little bit like it's a lot to take in, and it's a little bit of a confusing place to be, and sometimes it feels like luck of the draw. So sometimes the best thing to do is to ask people who have been there and done that, so that you can kind of learn from their experiences. So as having 3 musical industry old Fergies in the room, I just thought,
Wow.
this ought to be good.
I think the first thing to say there before we get knee deep in all this, because we're going to get deep in it apparently. No matter how skilled you are, no matter how well off you are, no matter how much effort you put into something, there is always an element of luck and right place, right time with this sort of stuff. So any of the questions we answer tonight
ain't gospel.
Take what we say with a pinch of salt, because basically you're on your own, like as we all are, and it's that one in a million chance you get something, then you can build on it. But like ultimately, yeah, it's not in your hands. It's never is in this industry, in all arts industries. It's never in your hands. It's right people, right time, luck, stuff. Mm-hmm. So don't cry yet. Stop crying. Put your tears away. Book your ideas up. Let's get on with it. Listen to us. We'll try and help you through it.
Right, and that's the podcast. Thanks for joining us,
That
everybody.
answers all of our questions today.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening.
Annoyingly, yes.
I think, what Eddie's saying is completely correct, but with a little bit of advice and a little bit of inspiration, and I hope a little bit of pep from these answers to your questions, you might feel a little bit more inspiration to go out and do your own thing. And just because, yes, there is a luck element to being able to make it. And also, to be fair, some of the questions out there that we were answering aren't about like, how do I become the most famous musician in the world? In fact, none of them are that question. A lot of you are like,
I'd like to ask that question.
How do I get started? So rather than actually, how do I make it? And some of them are about just music stuff generally. So we're good.
Let's dive in. Let's go.
Let's go.
We're ready.
So again, I'd like to put a disclaimer on that usernames may be slightly strange because I am rubbish at pronouncing them. But we'll see how we go. I think they'll be great overall. I think I've done a better job this time of actually going and looking up usernames and writing the correct spelling down. Last time we were just literally just throwing enough at the wall. If I said enough letters, eventually one of them would be right, essentially. So...
I'm 100% certain you got none of those names right last time.
I'd like to see if I did. We'll see. We're going to watch the last podcast if you're not in this one. You might be in the last one if you haven't watched it already. And please do let us know in the comments whether or not I actually got your name right. If I didn't get it right, please spell out what your username is, and then we can...
You're definitely going to put their names in the description of that video, correct?
I am, but the problem with that is
In the
whether
way
or not
that
I
you
wrote them
pronounced them,
down. The way that, yeah. It's whether or not I wrote them down correctly in the first place. That's the problem that we're going for here.
I'd like to formally apologise to those people. It's an oversight on our end. It'll never happen again.
The thing is, you say it'll never happen again, but I've already written these names down when I'm about to pronounce them.
Right now. It's going to happen right now.
Well, to start us off, we've got a great username that I'm definitely going to pronounce well and wonderfully. The last bit's easy, but there's about 10 syllables in this. So we've got Finn Luktuk.5 Fallen Chord. I can read that bit, but it's FinnLKTC.FallenChord. So there you go. And he asks, or she asks, how do you find fans and get people listening to your music?
Persistence, I think.
You are
You're
right,
looking at
Eddi.
me like I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm fine. You're
Some
looking at
kind
me
of
like I'm gonna
wise.
say something really stupid. I'm just trying to like. All these questions are gonna be hard to answer because you can't say for sure how to do these things, and all of them are going to revolve around certain things like having a USP, unique selling point, to get new fans or to get people listening to your stuff. I mean, be good. Do make your product mint. Make what you're selling mint. Do as much as you can. Use all of your socials. Be active. Respond to people. Nurture your small fan base into a bigger one. And just really fucking try. I think it's like hopefully one day you'll do something and it'll get shared about, and then you'll immediately get 100 new fans. But you might not. In which case, you just keep trudging through the process until
You've pretty much nailed what I was going to
snowballs.
say for sure, in terms of like trying to find that uniqueness about yourself or your band in some way, shape, or form, or whatever it may be. But then it's nurturing the ones that do pay attention, sort of early doors as well, and not counting your fans, if that makes sense. It's not sort of going, oh, nice one, I've got my 100 fans now, and sort of celebrating, and don't go paying for them.
Never do that.
So transparent.
It's so obvious. Like,
Also, it doesn't help you at all.
No.
It doesn't help you at all doing that.
Messes with your algorithm. It makes it even harder when you can't afford to pay for them anymore. Another thing to consider is don't let negativity dissuade you.
Yeah.
Don't let people... it's so easy to get 10, 15, 20 plus comments on a video or a song that you've posted and uploaded a snippet of or whatever. You might get one or two people that downvote it, and they might say nasty things. They might just say something as transparent and straightforward as it's rubbish, or using more colourful language. But don't let a few bad apples spoil your creativity. It's fine to have pushback. It's fine to have people that either don't get it or they don't appreciate it, but it's fine.
It feels like these comments and like what we're saying now is a little bit negative, but I feel like what it is when you're creating music, you have to be set up for the fact that not many people are going to be listening. And I feel partly maybe you've asked this question because you are already making music and you feel like you aren't getting to the places that you hope to be. I think that quite often it takes a long time. People are making music for years before they start to get recognition, especially as a project. And it might take multiple projects before you find the right formula with those people or the right genre. But I think that what I always say to people in terms of just like trying to find an audience for various different things like art, not just music, is that it is better to have 50 people or 10 people who absolutely love you and will support you and share and do everything they can to support you, give you money, go to your gigs, than it is to have 5,000 people or 50,000 people who follow you but don't engage with your stuff and don't really care because they're not an actual fan base. So fans and audiences are different, but love those 10 people, even if one of them is your mum.
Gonna say the exact same thing, and I think what you should boil it down to is just have reasonable goals and expectations. Don't think you're gonna release something and then overnight you're gonna be a superstar or you're gonna have like hundreds of thousands of views. And an example of that to close this off is I'm in a band that I can release a video and have 100,000 views in one night, and then the band I'm putting a lot of effort into get 1,000 views over a week, right? I don't feel bad about that, and I don't look too much into that. I actually really appreciate that because that's where we're at, and that's really good for us. Do you know what I mean? Those people care, and those people are putting the time in for you, and that's what you've earned, and that's where you're at. So be happy with that, and then move forward and be positive about it. Don't be like, oh, well, that didn't do very well. I'm rubbish. I'm not going to do anything else. Keep going. It's going to be fine.
And it comes.
It comes.
It does.
It's good.
It good. Ebum.
And it'll come. If your stuff's worth listening to and it's there's passion there, it'll happen. You just gotta hold tight.
Ah.
boom.
This one was a really popular question, so there was like 5 or so people who actually asked a similar question. And this one is, so in a world where there is an abundance of different people trying to do the same thing, and there are a lot of oversaturated genres, how do you stand out from a crowd with your music?
Well, I would start by asking yourself 2 questions. Why are you trying to participate in an oversaturated environment? And 2, if you are, or even if you're not, what Eddi said earlier, what is your USP? What is your unique selling point that is going to make you stand out, or at least appear different to the myriad of other people that are similar to you? And a unique selling point could be as simple as maybe a tuning that you're in, as daft as it is musically, or it could be
Royal Blood, two-piece Royal Blood, that sort of thing.
Or it could be embracing your hometown. And so you write songs that are directly related to that sense of community. And so lyrically, musically, you're talking about things that people in your local area can respond to. Maybe you have unique interests, or you have a different take on the style of music that everybody else is doing. You hear 9-10 million people all doing essentially the same thing, but you're approaching it from a slightly different way. Maybe you integrate your interests. So, hey, I like video games. Write about that. Write songs about video games. You like movies. Write about that. Maybe that is what's going to help give you an edge musically as a USP.
To add exactly to that last point that Cougar made then, your interest, but also if you like multiple genres, try and take elements of what you like about those genres and mash them together, and suddenly you might even create like a partly new genre, or something that's like an off trail of a genre that you like, and then you've got a unique upselling point, or something at least unique to the one that you're trying to get into, which is oversaturated.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, at this point, most things are regurgitated in a way and then made and brought into the new age. But just be yourself. Don't try and copy something or try and force yourself in a market. Just write what you want to write, and you might find that what you're doing and what you're actually going to turn out with is completely different to what you want, and that's great, because then you're on the right track to doing something good, because your original thoughts are the best thoughts, not the things you're going to copy or do this, that, the other.
Oh, that's a lovely point, I think.
Stop robbing music, peasants.
Jesus Christ.
Although it's a slightly similar but anti that, one of my favourite people is Mike Patton, who ended up doing a thing called Peeping Tom, which was just his version of what he thought pop music was in like 2005. By not listening to any pop music. It's like,
yeah, try and write for a genre that you literally have never listened to before.
Great.
Yeah, it's really good.
It totally worked.
Ban or Jur.ban and Day. Asked, how do you stay or become productive? Or how do you stay inspired? So how do you stay productive and inspired?
You can't.
I've been very fortunate where I don't really know how I've done it, but I've just managed, particularly obviously in the depth of the dark and the horribleness of the last year or so of staying inside and everything, managed to sort of like keep really on it, and I don't really know why or how.
What Dowd says completely correlates to what I was going to say, is like, you can't do that. It's not in your hands. Again, these things, like if you're a creative person, I feel, stop me if I'm wrong, but I feel if you're creative and you're trying to be creative and you're trying to be persistently creative, you have no control over that. You could wake up one day and then that week write the best stuff you've ever written in your life, and then the next week and the week after that and the week after that you'll do nothing, because you cannot do anything. You'll try and you won't be able to do it. It's purely random, it's circumstance. But with Dowd, like, I think what helps him is that, as he said before, he doesn't do anything but music. So like, his life is engulfed by it. So like, if he's gonna do anything, it'll be music based. But I don't know. You have no control over
We
it.
see constantly on social media, like people doing these, like they follow Instagrams where it's like, get up at 6 a.m, do this work. Like, do you know, there's like almost seeing people think there's a formula. And I think quite a lot of the time that applies, like sometimes when you have to do a job, you have to do a job and you have to find not inspiration or motivation, you just have to do it. But when it comes to being creative and making your best stuff, it comes in cycles, which is what you guys are saying. Someone that literally like has to be creative like every day, and some days are really bad days, if you feel like you want to stick at it every day until you find the gem that you're like, yes, I'm ready and now I'm going to be motivated for a month because I'm so excited about this thing, is sometimes it takes the plodding and the research and to find the inspiration. So like if I have to be creative, I give myself time to do that research, which is kind of what I was saying last episode. But I feel like I was like really efficient and answered the question without explaining myself, which was, it's the research that inspires me. That it doesn't mean that I'm in my best place to create, but it at least gives me some inspiration, which then sometimes gets me into that cycle of inspiration, that where I create my best stuff.
I think now that you've all sort of said that, I think for me it's been collaboration mainly, and being able to pick other people's brains, whether that be online or in person as well. So that's been a real key one for me.
I think to answer this question the same as I've done the other two as well, is it's just basically, don't beat yourself up about it. If you want to be inspired, you want to create, and you can't, that's fine, because literally everybody goes through that. And it sometimes it's a couple of days, sometimes it's half a year, but just don't worry about it, because it's a natural procedure when it comes to creating music or art. So it's okay.
Well, it's a thing, you could be playing a video game. I mean, I did it, so I was playing Cyberpunk and I loved the way that game looked, and it immediately inspired me to want to write an entire musical. I didn't write the musical because that's a stupid thing, because I'm not musical, nor am I a scriptwriter. But I was like, oh my God, I'm inspired, so I'm going to start writing things, creative things, and ended up just doing lots of inspiring stuff, and then got loads of good ideas for music videos from that. So like, it kind of was a chain reaction of me doing absolutely nothing, and then I got to something really creative from that. So chain reaction, cycle, and don't beat yourself up if that day isn't the day.
Coog's trying to hold all the air in his room up with his hands.
But because of the news of Jenni saying that she wants to write a cyberpunk musical, I want a cyberpunk musical now. Please make that happen.
She definitely could write a musical.
Exactly.
And all of the scripts and all the stuff that comes with it and all the set dressing. She could do it all, but she's like, no.
It's a lot of work. Do you know what? Actually, I do.
Of course, it's a lot of work. Being creative can be a lot of work.
Exactly. We've stayed on this point for a long time, and it's a really good question. But the other thing as well, and it goes back to what Coog was saying about like not taking on one massive chunk at once and breaking it up. The idea of me writing a musical tomorrow, or not, obviously I'm not going to finish it, but starting writing a musical is like, there's so much in that. And maybe sometimes when you're not feeling inspired, it's because you're asking too much of yourself, without even you realizing. Me going, I want to write a musical, I in my head go, yeah, I could do that. But then when I actually sit down there and start doing it, that's overwhelming. But if I go, I'm going to draw a picture about what one of the sets might look like, that's that little taking a bite. And you know what? Now I feel inspired. I wasn't going to sit down here and say I was going to write a musical, but guys, maybe in 10 years' time, Jenni Harrison will be the debut director of Cyberpunk, the stage show. Coming to a town near you.
I'll start.
You son of a bitch.
I have no idea what you're talking about other than the word musical, but that's all good.
Cyberpunk.
No, he doesn't play games. Doesn't play games, does he?
So, Dowd, it's a sci-fi dystopian future, kind of like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Cool.
Quick one from Perry Collins says...
Wait, sorry, who?
Perry Collins?
Perry Collins.
I thought you said Peppy Coggins.
Peppy Coggins. I actually said that one. I said that one perfectly as written, and still.
Give us it one more time then, because you're sure of it, so it's fine.
It's Perry Collins, and they ask, "How do you get better at sweeping?"
Just pick up a brush.
For
Just
God's
get to it.
sake, I knew you would make that joke. If anyone was going to make that joke.
What do you want? I'm the guy that does this.
I've never mastered it, and purely because I don't have the time to master it, and I'm never gonna use it as a thing in anything I'll ever do. So therefore, I went out and made some money by going bump 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 bump. Didn't sweep once. I ain't swept once in any paid gig. Nor have I been asked to.
It feels quite genre specific, and not like one genre, but it feels a little bit genre specific.
I think you can rearrange the questioner and then define it into technique. And with any technique, you've got to practice persistently, and to become competent at it, you've got to like put in the hours. You can't just play it once. Like, I've got that in the bag now. You know, like anything you do, like any job, any sort of activity you do, you've got to constantly do it to be good at it constantly. But how I like to address that issue is find workarounds. So what people might think is sweep picking is actually just tapping, but string skipping and things like that. Like if you want to find ways of doing things musically, figure out what it is, figure out the easiest way to do it, learn the easiest way to do it, and then every now and then just practice that. And that's good. But basically, if you want to be good at sweep picking, sweep pick every day for about 4 hours. That's my advice. Because that's what I did.
But just to play devil's advocate, maybe ask yourself, like similar to what Dowd has said, why do you want to learn this? I mean, in this case, sweep picking, but it could be any technique. Why do you want to learn it? Is it because you think it sounds good? Do you think it looks cool? Or is it because you will get gigs? You will get paid to do it. So there's multiple reasons why you might want to approach the situation. If you think it's because it looks cool or it sounds cool, it sounds to me like it's a bit of a passion endeavour. It's something for you to work on.
A hobby.
In order to develop your technique in passing, if you're still just working on music in general. But if your sole goal is, I want to learn to sweep pick. Okay. Then do what? Like,
I'll attest to that as well. I'll attest to it because like I was that person, and like I've said before, my main passion is not metal, but I met Aaron Kitcher and I wanted to start a band with him. So what I did was I did what he wanted from a guitarist and learned to sweep pick, and it took me hours and weeks and months and whatever. And I hated it because it's not what it. And then when we come to record albums, it comes to the second album, and I was still doing it. And I would argue now, sweep picking's dead. No one's really doing that unless as like a little aperitif to an actual thing they're playing, because it's a gimmick. It's like I do it all the time in our records because it sounds like a magic wand being wished across your face. It sounds mint, and it's like an easy way out of having to compose anything because you basically just form an arpeggio and play it really fast up and down, or like with embellishments. Whereas you can if you just play less notes and add some feel into it, and then just do a quick sweep into another note, that's mint. Do you know what I mean? Like focus less on the actual technique of that and use it as a tool to get you from A to B.
I've got an example of your specific music for that as well. Blasphemian solo is way more commented on versus like pretty much anything else in my opinion, which is sing-songy and beautiful.
Yeah, because there's more thought in it.
Eddi answered the question, how do you sweep? You form an arpeggio and play it quickly. So there's your answer.
Just one way of doing it.
It has been around for ages, and it definitely got loads of heat, like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years ago, and then it immediately died out because it's, like I said, it's a gimmick. Like, it's one tool that a lead guitarist has in his absolute massive arsenal of things you can do. And there honestly, like, if I listen to a lead guitar, I don't like guitar solos, but I love guitar solos when a band or a guitarist plays one in a song, and it has an absolute mood and movement and progression.
I want to feel. Like when someone plays an instrument, I want to feel it, and it's like, oh, you're really cool.
Exactly.
Sweet. But if you do a solo or a bit where in the song there is a feeling or a movement from a guitar, like, why do you perfect feeling your guitar and putting that immersion into that rather than just doing a cool trick like spinning your drumsticks? You know what I mean?
Oh, cool.
That one to hit on you, Coog. But you did do it, so I was like trying to like compare it as not a drummer nor a guitarist. You know.
I've got things to say about this.
There's tons of comparable things against all instruments. Do you know what I mean? Like the guitarist still sweep, the bass player slaps, the drummer does something.
A drum.
Listen to everything we've
Everything's a
listen
drum.
to everything. Listen to everything we've just said,
Everything's a
right?
drum.
And also what I just said, which was just form an arpeggio like and then play it fast. Yes, that's good, right?
Good.
But use it delicately and in good places, not just all the time like I do, because it's garbage. And we want more from you, and you need to become a better guitar player. And doing what I do is shit, so don't do that. And if you want to get good at it, do it loads and practice it, but stop it. Okay, next question.
I think we answered that very well. I thought that was going to be a quick question, but there was a lot in there.
Oh no.
Okay, a nice one from Marshall14031 asks, is playing or writing music with people that you like more important than playing or writing music with better musicians?
No, it's neither of those things. It's neither of those things. And my experience of this is that you just look through the history of music, and there's always a writing duo or a writing partnership or things like that. So, for me, I can always write a song. My brother can come round tomorrow, and we will write a song in the same day, and it'll be amazing.
And they've done it
fat,
multiple
right?
times.
And we've done it multiple times, right? I can go to Aaron's house, and we can write New Infant Annihilator, and pretty much everything we'll do will be sick as fuck. So they're two writing partners of mine that are great. Now I'm writing with these guys. We get in a room, or we come here, or whatever, and we jam some stuff out. It works the same. I've tried to write with other people, and it doesn't work. You've got to find the thing that gels. But whether they're competent or not, or whether they even know how to fucking play the drums or anything, doesn't even matter. It's their ideas, how you bounce off each other, what the scope is, because not all music is proficiency. It's feeling and what the listener wants. There's times where I'll show Jenni a song, for example, who isn't musical. Well, she can sing and she is musical. She's just untrained. But I'll show her a song. She's like, do you know what this song needs? A little bit of that. And I'm like, oh, fair. You're right. Well done. And that's the sort of stuff you need from the people you write with, not anything else. It's just an unspoken conversation. I don't know.
So when me and Eddi have written together for my project that's unreleased, we're working with my friend who is a great acoustic guitar player, a really good singer. If you want to check out her music, Katrina Ray. And she's an acoustic artist who writes her own music, and her lyrics and her storytelling is fantastic. But she doesn't put a lot of concentration in her musicality. She concentrates on her storytelling and her lyrics.
Lyricism.
Her words. But because I've played musical instruments, but I'm not a musician in terms of playing instruments. And yeah, I can sing, but I'm a poet and I can write. So when me and Kat sit as someone who can play guitar kind of, like chords and like acoustically, Kat, she comes with her stuff, also a really good storyteller. We collaborate together and create a story and write music together on a bass level. And then we bring a little small package of storytelling with the bass like melodies to Eddi. Then as Eddi, as a musician who's good, can put that all together. Now you tell me, because that project is unreleased at the moment, I have thoroughly enjoyed writing music with my friend Kat, who is not in any means, no offense, dude, the best musician in the world or a great guitar player.
She is quite good though, but
but she's a very good singer. But I'm sitting with my friend and writing music and enjoying it. And that has become because we have found a friend who also we enjoy writing music with, who has the ability to do some production stuff. We've created something that we enjoy. But if that never gets released, it depends what you want out of it. But yeah, just as a point.
Are we going to talk TCL then, James? Because I knew your name. Didn't know any of you though, really.
TCL, the colour line.
Yes, sorry. So I didn't really know any of you. I just answered an advert, and we instantly clicked because I was playing, in my opinion, with a better player. And it just so happens we ended up becoming friends.
Yeah, and I think that that's important as well, again, just to play devil's advocate, because you brought up a great point. It's important to feel like you're deriving something from the writing process. If it's having a good crack, having a good time, enjoying yourself, maybe coming up with some songs, write some stuff with your mates, even if they might not necessarily be very good, because the process is the fulfillment. It's the journey to get to where you want to be. But if your goal is to network, if your journey is to, maybe learn some interesting techniques or get some more kind of experienced players' opinions or, kind of advice in that type of context, then absolutely play with better musicians.
I have an add-on to the question, which kind of adds to what you guys are saying, which is from Paul SXN and Dead Lizard, which is about a difference in an opinion in songwriting and how you handle that and like how to cooperate and coordinate better with a band.
Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Just be humble.
Don't be a D.
Just be humble and go fair one. Explain your point of saying like this, I feel this, and you'll have that received back to you. Just don't argue.
Writing's not about ego, it's about servicing the sound. It's about creating something that sounds and feels good for everybody. And if you're in a band specifically and someone's saying, I don't like doing this because I want to play this here, stop it. You want people that are like, oh, really? Oh, never mind. I do get your point, though, because that does feel nicer going into this bit.
And
So,
to be
like,
fair,
even suggestion.
try harder to be that person that if you disagree, try and be that person that I don't argue, try and coordinate better.
It's the for me, I found it's the way I like, because everybody argues and everybody will argue their point. It's the way they argue their point.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to argue my point with suggestion. Generally. True?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm talking about like, so I will argue my point.
Give and take.
Where it's like, I absolutely hear what you're saying. However, what if we could do this? And it's not like trying to manipulate anything, because it's just sort of to then go, if you receive a no, you go fair one. At least I tried.
Take criticism well.
That is so much more pleasant as an interaction that comes across with no hostility as well, compared to we're working on a song. Oh, lads, I've got this riff. I've got this section that I think would be really cool. You play the section, and then somebody goes, "That's shit."
Yeah. What?
I am quite egotistical, and I do think I'm quite good at what I do. But there have been specific times, specifically Dowd as well, and he said to me, maybe do that. And I'm like, I'm initially like, nah, I'm not doing that. Why would I do that? I know what's right for the song. But then I'll try it, and I'm like, God damn it, that's way better. Fuck's sake. Because you blind yourself. When you're in the process, you blind yourself because you are so committed to what you've created that you don't see the greater good of what it could become. And that extra fucking outside point of view makes it way better than you could possibly imagine, because you obviously your skill level and your writing style is capped by something known as yourself, and other people expand it exponentially because they're just other people and they have other tastes. So be open-minded is what.
And then what happens is there's your circle of ideas, and then somebody comes along and adds their circle of ideas. You get all these. You get those starting to link in the circles of ideas. No,
Eddie just walked out then. I thought he was like going through a wee.
Right, fuck it. Right, we don't need Eddie.
Gwen.
Jenny, you're the vocalist. We'll be called Navier Gene. It'll be fine.
You got it in! You did it!
It'll be fine.
You did it! I can actually hear him weeing.
Well, if we're breaking, I'm getting another beer and having a wee. Just keep it going. Keep it rolling.
So, A-B... Coffee. That's how it's spelled.
Not a clue what that means.
That's it.
Baby. Coffee. How are the processes different? But I've written this shit. How do the process differ between working between diverse projects or genres? As in, Eddie, obviously you've gone from metal to more of an alt rock, and everyone else can chime in on this because I know you guys are from different genres too. But how does that differ working in different genres?
It doesn't.
No, to me it doesn't.
I write music.
Yeah.
Whatever I feel, whatever I want, I write it. It's no different to me.
The end goal is still the same.
Yeah. Make something that sounds good.
Yeah, writing good music.
That people like.
Can you imagine if every artist did the genre and that they love because they've spent so much time in different genres, like working out and like working where they are and finding their footing and playing and building their skills so that and then how much better music would be overall if everybody just did
Ed
that.
Sheeran would be a metal artist. It'd be metalhead if you could really do it.
Is a really good example of someone who is really into rock music, also a fan of one of Eddie's projects, by the way, who loves metal, loves anything to do, like basically rock genres, and has moved into something that he enjoys and took all of his influences and made something brilliant that's done very, very well. I say very well as if patronizing. Like, he's one of the biggest artists in the world. And now
you did really well.
Really well, Post Malone. Well done. Sorry. The one thing about Post Malone that I absolutely adored was watching him do is it the Nirvana set that he did where he covered Nirvana songs.
Nirvana, Post Malone is tits. I
and
love it.
But it shows, and he also there was also a video out when he was DJing.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine Posty on one of our tracks though, just slaying it?
He totally fitted well, wouldn't he? He totally would fit beautifully in it.
And this is the thing that I just wanted to give that example of someone who is great, who people really do like, who has influences from it, in theory, like the other side of the spectrum, who has come in and actually used his influences to make something great. I don't know his story personally, so maybe it's a different story, but from my perspective, as I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Post Malone's music now, but as someone who can respect Post Malone and his journey, from what I understand it, is a really good example of crossing genres and Skrillex, yeah, absolutely. Well, Skrillex kind of paved the way for someone like Post Malone in that sense. So, yeah. Well done, Post Malone.
Good. Well done. Do that.
Yeah. I would like to take this time to add someone to the hit list. As in, I know that originally it was a hit list.
No, we're done with that now. We have no beefs. We've squashed all our beefs.
I do have beef though. I never got a beef. Can I have a beef?
You can have a lamb.
Based on rap and like metal. So Corey Taylor, I really liked you.
Oh, that's a big name to be calling out like that. What are you doing?
And I still really like you.
I am not in this podcast.
But what's happening right now? What's happening? Why are you doing rap things? Stop.
Because it's Corey motherfucking Taylor, of course.
CMFT.
This is a public service announcement. Stop doing Corey motherfucking Taylor for all of us, for the sake of the world. Stop.
Jenny, be careful here. Before you know it, Coggins fighting Dave Grohl. You know what I mean? I don't think Corey Taylor's going to fight you, Jenny, honestly, so we're all right.
I think on that list, I'm the one fighting Corey Taylor.
I reckon, though, comment below, I reckon Jenny could take Corey in a fight.
Nah, I'll just
comment
walk
below.
away. He'll try and hit me and I'll walk away, and then he'll be done forever.
Bloody good handshake.
I'm warning you, Corey Taylor. I'd like to point out that Post Malone is pretty much the only famous person that we've had good words to say on this podcast. So
No, Lady Gaga. I always said nice things about Lady
Gaga and
Gaga.
Post Malone.
And Gaga. So Gaga, Post Malone.
You're on
hit us
our
up.
team.
Trent Reznor,
You're on our
Trent
team.
Reznor. We'll do a song.
You're
It'll
on
be
our
sick.
team.
Mike Patton,
Promise. Matt Patton.
And
Jamie Lemon.
Jamie Lemon.
Sam Rutherford.
And Sammy.
Sammy.
You're on our
Yeah.
team.
We need to stop making enemies. We've got enemies already now without him even knowing it.
It's not enemies unless it's reciprocated. At this point, we're just hating.
That's you hating though, not me.
Yeah,
And
you
these
brought
guys.
it up, Jenny.
You brought your point of Corotilla was way harsher than ours. We had no specifics.
Hey,
so you're
look,
just
I'm
like,
not the one
what
trying
you
to
doing,
fight the
my
nicest
guy?
guy in the world, Dave Grohl.
Eh,
Shame
Yeah,
on you.
fair.
Fair one,
Yeah,
yeah.
fair.
Shame.
Fair.
All he's done is give to rock and roll, and you want to fucking
Take it away.
Try and one
Shame
him
him.
up.
one
Try
him
to
up.
one up him.
It's all right. We'll just do the next question. Kanye West asks, "Do you need to go through a label?"
Kanye
No.
West.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Is this the real Kanye or is this like small time Kanye?
No,
He
it's
said he was God.
it's Kanye _ West.
It's probably not even Kanye.
The second to last question, the penultimate question is.
No, it's not the penultimate question. It's the last question.
The last question is.
So Carlos Gallops, which asked a similar question to someone called Alex 320 kilobytes per second, which was, what's your writing process of a band and how do you compose songs? But then Carlos asked any tips to get started writing. So I thought a nice way to sum up the podcast and finish tonight would be to give some tips on people looking to start writing music right now. Like, how do you get started?
Pick up your instrument. Don't be disheartened. Write and write and write until something comes through and you feel it's good. Pursue it. Finish it. Then you've got something. Show it to friends. Refine it. Then it's something else. Record it professionally or record it to the best of your ability. Then it's a product, right? Just don't worry. Throughout the entire procedure, stop worrying about it. Just enjoy it all. Be part of it.
Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, just one more point to add to that real quick. It's a process. And when you're first starting out, that process seems really scary and it seems like such a huge undertaking. But the more that you go through the process, the more effective you are at that process, to a point where you can go through the motions and it happens. The only difference is it might take longer because you don't have the inspiration. The process is there. You've got the process down to a T. It's just having that inspiration to make that process function correctly.
What is it at work? Research, develop, do, reflect.
Beautiful. That's straight
Round and
from a
round and
music
round.
teacher. Straight from the word of a music teacher.
It's like Dowd said, there is no bad music. There is only a bad mentality.
Aww.
Just have faith, persist, do what you enjoy doing, and one day something good will come of it. I promise you.
Even if it just makes you feel good.
From your big papa Eb to you right now, it's going to be okay.
Well, I think that was a lovely conclusion to these questions. I would like to thank everybody who asked a question over the past couple of weeks. Although I would like to apologise if your question did not get answered. We've been recording for nearly 2 hours now, as in just tonight. So obviously there's going to be a few questions that are just going to be edited out. So you might have got your answer, but unfortunately we couldn't fit everyone in. Sorry, all right. You might have got sorry.
We'll cut us down.
Because I feel like what we did there was answer a lot of questions, and all of the questions that I did have pretty much did get answered in one way or another. So that's really good. To end the podcast, I would like to do a little shout out to something that you might have noticed in the background of some of our shots. That's kind of cute. Coog. What you got in your background over there? What's going on?
This thing.
This thing.
This thing.
This thing.
Oh, that thing.
It's this thing here.
That's a metronome.
What's this?
What's
So,
You're pointing nowhere near it.
Eddi Pickard, the big cutie that he is, decided that to make us all feel really good, warm and fuzzy, he would design a poster based off the wonderful artwork that Eddie did and created himself for the podcast. The images of us that you see, that is an Eddi Pickard original. And as a little fun thing, he created us and got us all printed posters. So we now have them up.
Final words on pretty much everything we've said tonight. Music, creating, writing, success. It's all luck based. It's all where you are, what you are doing, and how much effort you're putting into it. But surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with people that respond to you, work well with you, and it's a good time all round. Yeah. And also reward those people and show them that you care and further that relationship. It's absolutely, it's paramount to the success of your project or what your passions are about. So stop worrying, keep calm, carry on, have a break, write some riffs, write some lyrics, jam with your boys, and one day something good will come of it. Just don't worry. Stop worrying. What are you worried about? It's just 3 guys and a woman. Just 3 guys. And I'll drink to that.
It's also the start of some pornos.
Whoa.
That's Gene Therapy After Hours.
Gene
Gene Therapy. Pornograph.
I was trying to be real for a second then. You just smutted my entire bit.
Gene Therapy XXX.
It's been a long one. I hope you saw it
That's been a
through.
long one.
Thanks everyone. We genuinely really love the fact that everyone contributed questions to the last 2 podcasts. So we hope to be able to in the future have a couple of questions at the end of each podcast. So don't be disheartened if you didn't get your question in this one. There'll be plenty of opportunities to submit. As a reminder, you can email us at genetherapypod@gmail.com if you do have a question that you'd like to ask us. So.
We've also got some big stuff coming, so don't be alarmed if there's not like very regular ones of these. Jebby, help quick, because we aren't doing. There's a thing. There is a
thing. So Eddi has reminded me that so basically when we originally started this podcast, we intended to do this weekly. But moving onwards, we have some really cool stuff happening, some really cool stuff coming out. So this podcast will be releasing a week after the last podcast. So I think Wednesday. But it means that from this point onwards, we'll only be doing the podcast every other week rather than weekly, because we have some very exciting things coming your way, and we don't want to be bombarding you with podcasts and live sessions, etc. So expect this podcast on a bi-weekly or every other week basis, and you won't be mad about it, so it's okay.
You'll be really happy about it, actually. Probably.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You specifically.
You. I'm speaking to you, Darren.
You.
Oh.
You're pointing at a camera. Which
Right.
camera am I pointing at?
I'm done. I need
Yeah.
a wee. We're going. This is it now. We're done.
I can't feel my legs.
Jenny, take us out.
This has been a Jenni Harrison production of Gene Therapy,
The Gene Therapy.
starring Eddie ba-da-da-da-da-da, and Cook da-da-da-da-da, and Dowd da-da-da-da-da, and Jenny ba-ba.
In a
that good?
bit.
Was that good?